welcome to Unusual Constellations, really through the lens of driving and racing. I think actually this is a really exciting topic because the more I thought about it, the more it is what Sport Beach is really all about at the end of the day. It's about sort of those unusual connections that you're bringing together to create something bigger, right? And that is, you know, marketers, athletes, and brands coming together here at Sport Beach. And in this case, this is about, you know, race car driving, Lenovo and Elf coming together in ways that maybe you wouldn't have thought about, but are really powerful at the end of the day, right? So I think with that, we'll dive right in. We'll start with you, Elio.
With me, okay.
Yeah. We start.
Pole position, I like that.
There you go. You might have thought you were furthest away and safe, but you're not.
No problem.
In general, right, racing is a pretty unique thing. Tell us about fandom and racing, and really what makes it unique, and what makes race car drivers and fans tick.
Well, hello everyone. It's great to be here. It's absolutely, weather is a little bit iffy, but it's okay. But I'm ready to enjoy this amazing and incredible opportunity to be a great company. So for me, obviously, the way I see with the fans, racing is a very dangerous sport, right? A lot of people don't see that sometimes in that way, but it is. Even today, that there's a lot of safety that we were able to make over the years. You know, we're talking about over 50 years ago, and now the cars are much more safe, but it's still very dangerous. You know, it's a sexy sport, it's technology sport. You know, a lot of things that you guys might not know, but the stuff that you have in your ordinary car, it came from racing. You know, so that's what engages all the fans about that. Plus, you know, the drivers are good looking, not that bad, right? So I think so, at least. But anyway, it is an engaging with the fans, and you have that type of fan that is really knowledgeable, that understand and really want to connect with that type of a driver or team. You know, so it's a very, as you say, unique sport, but it's an exciting sport.
How fast do you drive?
Well, good question. Today I have a daughter, right? So 14 years, I gotta be able to stay on the speed limit. But I had my fair share of going too fast on the road. Not anymore.
Yeah. So if you want to make your brand sexy, sounds like you should partner with Elio.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
I'm ready. Huh?
All right.
I've been to a lot of magazines. There was one magazine that I actually, my mom was really upset with me. But what they call ESPN Body Issue, right? In America, they take incredible athletes and they want to show the body of the athletes. It's a female, male, doesn't matter what it is. And I was selected one year, and I thought, you know, it was a little bit of a covering going on, but there was not. You know, I was naked and sitting on the tire. It was a little bit interesting.
Okay.
You guys go
Could we
online
get
and
a
check it out.
picture up on the screen, please?
Everybody's searching for it right
seriously,
now.
guys
give
can
it some
search
noise
that.
if you'd like to see that
Sport
up on the
Illustrated.
screen.
You're gonna see that sexy machine.
All right. Let's go to you,
Moving
Alberto.
along.
Thank you. Let's quickly
I'll
go
shut
to
up
you,
on the rest
Alberto.
of it.
Nobody thought this was
Yeah.
going to be the sexiest panel of the day, and here
Yeah.
we are, everybody.
Just started.
In my family, when I say something that might get too controversial, they say marshmallows. Like, that's the signal to stop. So, marshmallow.
You have two Italians up here.
Yeah,
We're going to
I
eat
got no
those
hope.
marshmallows.
Alberto, you know, Lenovo has a big partnership with F1 and with MotoGP.
Yes.
Talk to me a little bit about that and, you know, about racing fans sort of being the right fit.
Yeah, so morning to everyone. Good afternoon. Racing fans for us are, let's say, an audience very engaged, very passionate about motorsport in general. And for us, engaging with them, it's all about showing the values of our brand, you know, showing what Lenovo can do for racing, talking about performance. Performance is key in racing. And, but also, you know, we're sponsoring two big events that make our brand cool at the end of the day. And There are two different ways because we sponsor F1, so we sponsor the event organization, and we sponsor MotoGP, but with a team. We are with Ducati in MotoGP. We won the World Championship 2022, 2023, and hopefully this year we'll go in the right direction. And so the difference is that when you sponsor the event organizer, you are kind of friend of everyone, and your fans are the broader, let's say, F1 fans. Yep. When you sponsor a team, you can be sometimes divisive, you know? You have fans who love your riders or your brand, and they love you more, but also you have fans who literally hate, you know?
Right.
And so you have to manage a little bit the situation. But they are both sponsorships giving us two different angles of engaging with fans. In one way, we engage also with the passion of the riders and of the brand that we sponsor. In the other way, we are working with F1 and with the event organizer to make the sport bigger.
Yeah.
Now, as you might know, the owner of F1, Liberty Media, also bought MotoGP, so it will be interesting to see how they take the platform to the next level.
Yeah. Well, I think it's amazing. I've been lucky enough to go to an F1 race with you. But to see the authenticity of the brand in that event, in that moment, because there's literally Lenovo technology powering the race. And I think that's a pretty unique tie-in for everybody. And to be able to experience that and see it is unbelievable.
Yep.
Corey, same sort of question for you, but from an ELF perspective. First cosmetics beauty brand to partner with Indy 500. Tell me more about that, because that's a pretty amazing, you know, and on the surface, quite an unusual constellation.
So at ELF, we are the masters of unusual constellations. And in fact, a lot of people on the surface think it's unusual, but when you get under the hood, you actually see it makes a shit ton of sense. So as it relates specifically to the Indy 500, what you might not know is that 41% of the audience is women. 41% of the audience is women, but nobody's talking to them. So it's actually not that unusual that we would be there, because somebody has to be there to serve the underserved. And this year in particular was absolutely extraordinary, because the biggest, boldest badass I've ever met in my entire life is a woman by the name of Catherine Legg. And Catherine Legg was the only female driver in the race this year. And that's right, we can give it up for Catherine Legg. And she drives 231 miles an hour.
I know. I was with her this year. And I tell you what, I came to her after qualifying because she did an incredible qualification. She actually brushed the walls. But let me tell you, for you two guys to explain, and I'm not trying to take time from you, but the way she did it, she brushed the walls. And when you do that in 230 miles an hour, it's a problem. She never lifted, and she kept it going. She qualified the car into the Indy 500. So afterwards, I went to her and said, I apologize if I'm being out of line here, but you have big cojones, you know, because that was absolutely incredible. And but it shows, you know, doesn't matter, you know, who you are. If you have a helmet and you have the passion, you can do whatever you want.
So at ELF, we're all about female empowerment and using our platform to lift up others and making sure that we're always serving the underserved. So not only was Catherine the only driver in the race this year, she's only the 9th driver in Indy's 108-year history. I'll say that one more time. 108-year history, there's only been 9 female drivers. So what's crucial here is to actually show there's a pathway to live your dream. And I have to tell you, in all the events that I've ever done in my career, and our friends at D1A who were there with me, we cried the whole time. And let me tell you why we cried. Fathers, mothers, kids, grandparents, generations of people came to see us and said, thank you for finally representing women. And Catherine Legg said for the first time in her 43-year lifespan, young age of 43 years old, this was the first time that she ever showed up as a race as a woman. She's always been sponsored by car parts and you name it, that has nothing to do with anything that's girly or sexy or female. Sorry, but car parts aren't really that sexy for us. And this was the first year that she ever showed up to any race proud in her femininity. And that is why we were at the Indy 500.
That's a great answer.
Ask me another question, I'll
Yeah,
give you another great answer.
Well, actually, along those lines, I think, we talk a lot about, you mentioned serving the underserved and really having that be good business. And I'm just wondering if there are any sort of early returns in terms of the business impact of Indy 500 and doing what you're doing from that standpoint.
The first place I go, quite honestly, is the emotional connection, because the emotional connection is going to pay dividends forever. And we received emails, letters. I mean, talk about tears. If you read them, you'd all be crying. That's how emotional it was. Jillian can attest to it. She was there. And the number of people that said, Elf, I never actually heard of you before, but I'm throwing out all the makeup I own and I'm going 100% Elf from here on in. Those were the kinds of letters we were getting because we showed up for them in a way that was meaningful and relevant to them. And they appreciated, whether it was the mothers or the grandmothers or the aunts or the uncles or the fathers, they appreciated the fact that they had a brand that saw them in such a meaningful way and created an animation that was so customized to the environment and the audience and why they were there. We celebrated the 9 women who had been in the race. So when you came into our activation, you were actually able to see the 9 women, what year they raced. We celebrated them in a way that put them on a pedestal so that, everybody was looking up at it like, wow, maybe one day I could be a driver. Yeah. So when you make that kind of impact, the dividends are going to pay for the lifespan of the brand.
Well, I think that's amazing because it's sort of this aspiration, inspiration, but also impact. And ultimately, you're taking something that people might be a fan of and creating fans of Elf, lifetime fans of Elf, and that's pretty amazing. So, Elio, I'm a little bit afraid to ask this question.
Uh-oh. Don't worry, we already broke the ice.
But talking about female empowerment, you were on Dancing with the Stars.
That's right.
Yeah.
I work very hard to get the Mirrorball trophy, my friend.
Yeah.
No, don't you worry about that.
So tell everybody a little bit more about that experience, but also how that sort of contributed to a new audience for racing.
Yeah, the experience was absolutely amazing. I'm pretty sure I just talking to Alberto, in Italy, they have also Dancing with the Stars, right? And it was absolutely incredible. I think I should teach them one move. Don't you guys think? Is that right? All right, so let's do this, including you as well.
That's why I was afraid.
Right?
That's why I was afraid.
Go.
We did not practice this, just
By
so
the
everybody
way,
knows.
This move, and when I learned, it was called dropping the coffee. So imagine you have a coffee in your hand, and you're going to drop it. So when you do it, you go like, bam. All right? You copy that? 1, 2, 3 again. 1, 2, 3. Bam. Here we go. Give it up for these guys. Come on.
All right.
Sorry about that.
My understanding there'd be no dancing. But,
but the experience was just like that. It was so much fun. It was incredible. And I had no idea that I was going to go win the competition. I packed my bag for 15 days only. I ended up staying for 14 weeks. And it was funny because I didn't want to remember that the driver that sucks on dancing, right? So, and all of a sudden, I was going to all these shows and especially, ET, Entertainment, Access, Hollywood. And because I only have few clothes, after 3 weeks, they were like, Elio, can you change your jacket or your clothes because we filmed that 3 weeks ago. So it was a lot of fun. And I will be honest with you, in terms of the strategy to go to the Dancing with the Stars, it was more about, people don't realize that when you're driving about around 2.5 hours of racing, 3 hours of racing when in Indianapolis, they only see the helmet and the car, right? And the driver in the end of the race, if they win or not, or if the driver is winning hat, glasses, suit. So they actually don't see the face of the driver. So the strategy was, whatever happens, you're at least going to reach an audience that people are going to end up seeing your face, see who you are, your personality. And that's what ended up happening. So we were able to, the following season, after winning the Dancing with the Stars, IndyCar Series were able to increase 1 million viewers more on the following season because people wants to see what the dancer was, what kind of racing he's doing, you know, which was exactly turned out to be a great success. We already had all the drivers going out there. They were not as talented as me, which is fine. And but in the end of the day, it turned out to be a great strategy in marketing. And even today, after 15 years, people still talking about, and yeah, it was incredible.
Well, along those lines, you know, I think Corey, you mentioned that 40 some odd % in terms of viewing, but in terms of the drivers, it doesn't match that. What do you see in terms of that evolution, Elio, in terms of women? Women in sport is on the rise massively in general, right? So what do you see for driving?
Corey actually nailed on the head on this one because not many females were able to go. And but we had successful females as well. You know, one of the biggest one, and I raced against for several years, was Danica Patrick. And she was able to, put herself out there. And I remember having conversations with her. You know, it's hard for women. You're in a male environment. You gotta be tough. The cars, by the way, in IndyCar specific, not so much Formula One or sports car, but IndyCar, they don't have a power steering wheel. You know, even for us, it's extremely hard driving those cars. So they do have, you have systems that you can actually make the steering lighter, but at the end, it's still very, very physical. So all of this, you know, in my case, I don't care. Whoever is wearing a helmet, if it's beating me or in front of me, I'm gonna try to beat that driver. Right. But I really salute, especially the ones, the females. And now I believe it's more open, it's opportunity open. I really commend ELF to not only give the opportunity for that, especially for the females, but keep pushing, not only one race, keep going for more races, because I do believe females, when you have a equipment, you equalize your talent with everyone else. And that's why you can become successful, doesn't matter your gender.
Great. Alberto.
Well, first of all, I wanted to say I have 3 daughters, so I might send them to your summer camp.
Oh, is that right?
To see.
Fantastic. I have 1 daughter, so we're in the same boat here.
Yeah,
we know.
It's great. Just want to go back to Lenovo and the partnership with F1 and MotoGP. What was the strategic rationale? How are you making those choices as a brand to partner with, and what sort of impact have you seen?
Yeah, for us, the strategic rationale was all about technology. So partnering with a sport which is heavy on the usage of technology. And I think we picked 2 of the toughest ones, because with Formula One, we power all their broadcasting. And for those of you who don't know, F1, they take all their broadcasting staff and crew from track to track. So they travel the whole world, and they arrive in a racetrack 10 days before the event. They lay the fiber, they lay everything, they prepare the paddock, and then after the race, they dismantle everything and they move to the next race. So, it's the best way for us to prove our systems, to prove the performance, the robustness, because, you have our servers under the rain, under very hot conditions, and you can't afford that anything breaks, because the event is live streamed, in real time, and everything has to be perfect. So proving our technology is one of the main reasons why we chose those 2 heavy tech sports. With MotoGP, we sponsor the team, which means, you have the bike on the grid, the engineer is still there with your computer in his hands, finishing the setup of the engine, changing a map at the last second. So nothing can go wrong there, right?
Yeah.
So we think it's the best way to really build reputation and trustiness for our brand.
Got it. Yeah, and I think so. A lot to do with tech, a lot to do with performance.
Absolutely. Tech, performance, and there are other values that we promote, like, teamwork. I mean, you know how important it is, the team around you, and collaboration, and focus on the same objective. So those are, let's say, parallel things that we push forward.
So I have one for all three of you because I think there's a lot of badging out there, and I've purposely used the word partnership over sponsorship in this case, right? And with that, like, how do you look at the difference between sponsorship and partnership, and what are you looking for? How are you making decisions? Because, like, Elio, I think from your perspective, right, you have it as a driver or an athlete, but also as an owner now. You know, you each have it from a brand perspective and what you're looking for. So, I mean, I don't know if you want to kick off, Alberto, but maybe we'll work our way down.
I mean, the key difference is that, and we choose partnerships and not sponsorships. In a partnership, you try to take the sport to the next level together with your partner. So with F1, we are working together on how do we improve the fan experience in the living room? How do we bring telemetry data in the room? How do we do more immersive reality stuff that gives the experience for people following the race? So there are, now we're working on also on how do we track the exact position of the car on the racetrack, because you always have a margin of error that, if you want, for example, to link a video game to the real race, you can't have that error. So there are multiple ways in which we are innovating with Formula One to really take the sport to the next level. And as you know, they've really managed to expand their audience multiple times over the last few years. And we want to do it together with them. And when it comes to MotoGP, I mean, we are powering their R&D of the bike. We are powering, anything they do around all the aspects that are needed to win a world championship.
Yeah, certainly sort of a complicated.
Well, sometimes not understand. World championship. It's quite big.
Yes, and they're winning. But I think it's interesting because it's multi-layered and very complicated, and you can go from a very global, large partnership and how you activate within that to a more local or a specific team and how you power that and partner with them as well. And it's very different, obviously, for a brand to navigate. Corey, from your perspective with Elf.
We don't use the word sponsorship. It's not in our vocabulary. So we have an allergy to what we call the logo slap. That'll never be us. And we approach every partnership actually as a force multiplier. How do we take the superpower of the individual or the sport that we're supporting and force multiply it with our own superpower to create a new dimension that neither one of us ever thought possible or could have ever gotten to on our own? So if we think about the way in which we supported Catherine Legg, it wasn't just a matter of showing up and saying, okay, let's put our logo on your suit and on your helmet and on the car. We had a drone show for her the night before. There had never been a drone show at the Indy 500 before. We created an entire activation. It could have been a 10-foot booth. We maxed it out to 40, and we celebrated the 9 female drivers who have driven in the race in the last 108 years. When we partnered together with Billie Jean King, it wasn't just about celebrating equal play for 50-year celebration. It was about how do we continue on the journey that she started 70 years ago and pick up that torch and fight that fight until our last breath to make sure that we can have equality for women everywhere, on the track, on the field, in the arena, in the boardroom. Billie Jean King was so inspired by the work that we're doing around So Many Dicks and Change the Board Game that she became our featured star in that campaign. None of that is planned. When you walk in with a blank slate and you say, you're an amazing person, we're amazing people, let's just focus on doing amazing stuff together that is going to change the world, that's where magic happens.
Tough act to follow.
Absolutely. I have to be honest. Didn't you guys have a pit stop glamour on, which I thought that was a fantastic idea, by the way. And in my position now, it's interesting. We actually have partners. And then when you hear the panel talking about partners, it's when you talk about that, it's not like 1 year, 2 years. It's hopefully for a long time, right? It's partners. You want to keep them involved. We, in our case, in our team, SiriusXM, it's an incredible brand, and which they're here as well. and they were able to activate, not only putting their name, but using their channel. So now for last year, for example, Carrie Underwood her channel was in a car, and she went to the race. She did a show in a race, which was in Iowa. So we're talking about different areas. This year we have John Bon Jovi in St. Petersburg, and I took him for a ride, which is awesome. I was a fan of him already, and I became even more of a fan of him because he was such an incredible guy. And it was a lot of fun. So in August, we're going to have Diplo in Nashville channel. So those are the things that when you have partners, you want to have them activate this scenario. Also, a big brand that we have in our as a partners in our team is AutoNation. AutoNation is the biggest and the largest car dealership in America. So what they do, not only they have the exposure in the race car, but also their clients, where people in different locations where people, wants to service their car, they end up actually going to the local races. So those are the things that we activate. And then in looking for exactly that, we just don't want to, the name on the car. We have other brands in the series like Bitcoin. They just put the name on the car, but obviously, or BitNile. So just want to be the name there. I think the game now is changed, and you heard from the others as well. It is about being connected. It is about being partnered with a team.
Great. So I've got one more question, and then I want to end on one wish from each of you. Okay? That's a curveball. We didn't rehearse that one. But I like to end it with that. And it could be about sort of your brand, the industry, just what you hope or wish, one thing. But before we do that, I did want to touch on so many dicks in the campaign.
It's my favorite topic.
Yeah. But look, ELF takes a lot of, I'm sure they're calculated risks, right? But they're risks. And I think brands can be very risk averse. Can you talk to us a little bit about how you're making those decisions and maybe how other brands can be freed up to do so?
So how many of you are familiar with So Many Dicks? Okay, not everyone, so I'm going to tell you the story. So there are 4,200 publicly traded companies on the New York Stock Exchange. That's a big number, right? 4,200. The board of directors is the highest seats of decision-making power. It's not just governance. It's all decision-making, and the company has to ride through a board of directors, so these people are wildly important. They should represent the people you serve. Our board of directors at ELF is 2/3 women, 1/3 diverse. So we asked, thank you. We can all give a clap for that, okay? Majority female, 1/3 diverse. So we did a little body of research to find out, well, how many other companies are also 2/3 women, 1/3 diverse? Guess, throw a number at me, how many? 4. 4 out of 4,200. So this could go one of two ways. Either you could say, oh, that's great, let's get out there on our pulpit and boast about the fact that we're one of 4, or you do what ELF did and said, we don't want to be one of 4. That's ridiculous. We need to be one of many. We are known to do the unexpected. We are known for humor and audacity in our marketing campaigns. We're known to take risks in how we show up. So we asked ourselves, well, what if we put real marketing dollars not on selling a product, but on changing the board game, on being the beacon of light for others to see that inclusivity pays. It pays top-line dividends, and it pays bottom-line dividends. So we put a campaign together, and we scrubbed manually 36,000 board members and created a database. And that database spit out that there are more men named Richard, Rick, or Dick.
I'm sorry.
Than entire communities of underprivileged people. So we said, wow, so many dicks, so few of everyone else. And that became our campaign. But not only did we create a campaign called So Many Dicks, guess where we put it? All over Wall Street. So that everybody who went to the New York Stock Exchange, 200,000 people every day, saw So Many Dicks. So the key component on this one, to be totally frank, 2/3 women, 1/3 diverse, who cares unless it performs? 21 consecutive quarters of net sales gross at ELF, and the #1 performing stock on Wall Street in the last 5 years. Now people care. Now people care. You want to grow your business, you want to change your fate, you want to have a better future, put more women and diversity in the highest seats of decision-making power.
Okay.
And I'm going to go into my wish.
Okay. Right into it.
My wish is more women on the track next to Elio. More women drivers, more women playing football, more women playing every sport and getting the credit and the pedestal that they deserve to be put on.
Love it. Elio, and then Alberto, bring us home.
Well, my wish is Corey's wish, by the way. So she basically said it all, which I totally agree with you. In the racing in general, but obviously sports in general, have a lot of space for women. As Alberto was talking about, I have a daughter as well. I want that environment for her. I want to make sure that she also empowers. She's 14. I think she's already has a lot of power, which I concerned about it. But that's, I guess, the age, right? So, but in the end of the day, I want that. I want it because I want she be bold, she be brave, she be confident, you know, and make things happen. And yes, and by the way, if you have any anti-age cream for men, I would love to have, you know, ELF with me.
Keep it sexy.
I
Keep
can
it
fix that
sexy.
problem.
I need to get my brain sexy for Dancing with the Stars.
We got you. We
I
got
love
you.
it. That's what I'm talking about. And again, I want to thank all of you, by the way, for having me here, and incredible crowd. And let's a round of applause for Stagwell people. Come on, that was actually
We got to get to Alberto's wish.
Oh,
but
no,
thank
yeah.
you. Alberto.
My wish were, first of all, I share anything you said because I have 3, not 1, so it's triple challenge. And I can see that, you know, the environment around them. For example, I take my daughters on go-karting, and they start competing with the boys, and, you know, they're proud when they finish. Now they want to be on a motorcycle, and I have some discussions with my wife, but that's a different story, because it can be dangerous sometimes. But I share exactly the same wish. And on another wish, which is more, let's say, part also of the discussion, I really wish that technology can help all the sports to become, to be believed even more by the fans. I think we are still in the early days of what technology can do to attract more people into any kind of sport and to immerse them much more into what they're watching and make the sport to live with them.
Love it. Yeah.
Every day. So
Awesome.
Wait, and you have to tell us your wish.
My wish is that I don't get in trouble for being so far over on time.
it's okay.
No, look, it's hard to add to what the three of you have said. At the end of the day, my daughter is better than me at every single thing out there, and all I want her to be able to do is shine and be herself and be able to go do all the things she wants to do. She's a cheerleader at Wisconsin, and she is a base, and she says athletes lift weights, cheerleaders lift athletes. So my wish is that she gets all she has earned and more. So thank you, all three of you. Amazing.
Thank you, Ray.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Cheers.
Aspen.